Hi, I'm Matt with HomeBuddy, owner and operator, and I just wanted to share a few quick stories. In our business out helping people with help buttons and medication dispensers, we get to meet the most wonderful people and get to hear the greatest stories. Shortly after I started the business, I actually was hooking a unit up for a guy and met the person, believe it or not, that built and designed and installed the first ever two-way police radios. An install that normally takes about 15 minutes took about 2 hours from sitting around and talking with this gentleman. And we get to meet all kinds of people like that. I just wanted to share a few little stories of people I've met like that out there because they're so very interesting and some fun, some funny. I met one guy when I went out to his house. He had a walker and he's just barely getting around. And he's hanging on to everything. And as I was hooking his button up for him, I noticed pictures of motorcycles all over his walls. And so I said to him, I said, "So you ride motorcycles?" And he says, "I sure do." And I thought to myself for a moment, I said, he said do, he didn't say did. So I asked him, I said, "Well, I got to ask you still ride?" And he says, "Oh yeah." And I said, "Well, how do you hold the motorcycle up when you get to the stop sign or a stoplight?" And he kind of grinned and he said, "I had to put a sidecar on it for me." Come to find out, he'd been a professional motorcycle racer his whole life, and here he is in his 90s, can hardly walk, but he's still riding motorcycles. Those are just a wonderful type of people that we get to meet out there when we're out and about. And some very, very funny instances and funny stories. I was out taking care of a lady, and she's in her early 90s, and I was asking her how the service was working out for her. And she kind of grinned, and she said, "Well, I guess it's working out pretty well." She said, "I got to tell you what happened. The other night," she said, I was in bed asleep, and I woke up with a really good-looking man holding my hand, looking at me, saying, Adele, are you okay?" And she says, and I opened up my eyes and saw this good-looking man holding my hand, and I kind of grinned at him, and I said, "I am now." Apparently she had hit her button after she'd gone to bed and taken her hearing aids out and didn't hear us trying to get a hold of her, so it was a fireman holding her hand. Another couple I went out to see, boy, the gentleman greeted me at the door. "Matt, so nice to see you and meet you, and thanks for coming over to fix up my medication dispenser, and here's my wife." And boy, they were just all happy and smiles, and I just thought, wow, what a wonderful, fun couple, the great type of people to meet. And as I go over to the medication dispenser to fix up her medication dispenser, or his medication dispenser, there's a note on there for the nurse. It says, "Viagra, every other day, nighttime only." So hence the smiles on both their faces and how happy the couple was, I guess. But we get to hear a lot of stories like that. I was hooking up a service for a lady, and she said, "My friend referred me to your service." And I said, "Well, yes, I know her." And she said, "Did she tell you what happened?" And I said, "No, I didn't hear what happened." And she said, "Well, she has a boyfriend." Now her friend is in her mid-80s, I would say. She has a boyfriend, and the boyfriend was over, and they were sitting on the couch, and they started getting a little bit frisky, and they accidentally set the button off. I couldn't help but laugh a little. All I could picture is this poor guy. "Oh my gosh, she's alarmed." But we've had met a lot of wonderful people. Have some very great instances like that of funny things. Cindy, my wife, her mother, was using our service, and she's in the wheelchair. She's very strong-willed and cantankerous. And the first time she used her button, she called to tell me about it. She said, "Matt, I used that button. I'm just calling to tell you because I know you're going to get the report anyway." And I asked her, I said, "Well, Norma, what happened? Are you okay?" She said, "Well, I'm fine. I was sitting in my wheelchair. I was baking pies. I went to put a pie in the oven. I slid right out of my wheelchair onto the floor. I sat there and thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to do?" And she said, "That's where I remember that you had that button that you give me, and I pushed that button." She said, "And those care center people are really nice." And I told her, "Well, of course they are, Norma." She said, "But you know what the best part was?" And I said, "No, what?" She kind of grinned at me. She said, "They sent the 4 best-looking firemen over to take care of me." So we had to get after her from then on, tell her no pushing the button just to get the good-looking firemen. But anyway, I just wanted to share a few stories like that of our customers and the wonderful people we meet out there, and how much fun it is to be in this business and meet these customers and take care of these people. It's a joy every day. Thanks for your time.